Welcome back to MDEV 25. I am Ross here with some of our MDEV creator conversations. Today I am here with Jack and Cowtown Games. We're talking about Void Reavers. Before we do that, Jack, just tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name is Jack Bezlyk. I'm the co-founder and creative director of Cowtown Games, small indie studio. We have remote devs everywhere, but we're kind of based here in the Midwest. So, yeah, that's what I do.
Tell me about Void Reavers. Try to do it in 10 words or less.
Yes, Void Reavers is a game we're showcasing here. It's a movement shooter, kind of based off of like Titanfall and Apex. Very fast, lots of movement, and yeah, it's very chaotic, fun, fast.
Awesome.
No, that wasn't 10 words, but yeah.
There's 10 words in there. It's all good. So what's the type of gamers that would flock to a game like Void Reavers?
Yeah, so anybody that likes that fast-paced movement, even like things like Mirror's Edge or Dying Light, lots of parkour, wall running, fast shooting, swapping between weapons and just making decisions on the fly. So I would say, Apex, Titanfall, Mirror's Edge, things like that.
Super cool. Are you aiming for a particular release date, release platform, any sorts of public demos, private demos, playtests, anything like that you wanted to call out?
Yes. So internally, we're kind of aiming for public play testing around the first half of 2026. Is our goal to get into players' hands, and whether that be early access or maybe more polished, we're not sure yet. But first half 2026 is when we'd like players to be all in on playing Void Reavers.
Awesome. Aiming for PC, Steam Deck, other consoles, anything in particular?
Yeah, everything, but we're going to start with Steam. So we'll get the platform set up on Steam and the game rolling, get some feedback, and then hopefully porting to console in the near future.
Sweet. Now, are there any games that are inspiring you now?
Yes, for Void Reavers, again, Titanfall is like the big one, right? Just in the gameplay loop and just the style of game. But there is a narrative tie to the game as well, because we were going to have PvP down the line and a narrative campaign. So there's a game called Davy Jones X. That's a maybe indie or double A game that.
That is X, letter X, or like ex-girlfriend?
Okay. Yeah, letter X, I believe, is the title. I could have butchered it, but Davy Jones X. So that's that very strong inspiration for the narrative of Void Reavers. And personally, Fallout New Vegas is like the thing that made me want to be in game dev and want to do a lot of writing and build teams around games, just because it's one of the greatest games ever crafted.
So you are exhibiting in the Indie Alley at MDEV. What does being at MDEV mean for you?
It means being around other people that are just as passionate about making their creative endeavors a reality. And just being around those people and hearing other people's ideas and their own journeys to get to the game that they're building or the studio startup is really inspiring. But it's also kind of challenging your own path too, and giving you more ideas for how you can maybe shape your own journey to building your own game or your own studio.
Sweet. So what's been your favorite thing at MDEV so far?
So far, there's been a couple of talks that I've really enjoyed. Quinn Elmer did a talk on narrative, which I thought was fantastic, narrative toolbox. So that was really neat, along with a handful of others that I saw. And then it was cool that we got to meet our Void Reavers team, or many of our team members, in person. So instead of seeing somebody in this little screen, just their floating head, you're like, oh wow, you're real, you're here. We've developed a game together. So that was really sweet as well.
Awesome. Any plugs that you want to give for people who want to follow either Cowtown or Void Reavers? Where would I do that?
Yes, cowtowngames.com. Go ahead, check it out. That'll take you to all the rest of our links, Steam page, the socials. So cowtowngames.com.
Can you just give me the Cowtown Games journey? How have you gotten to the space that you are now?
Absolutely. It's kind of interesting and maybe non-traditional or a little bit different. It kind of started with being outside of the game space and not even considering games as an option for myself, or even starting a studio. I kind of have a background in manufacturing and construction and business administration and leadership, as lots of people do in like the Midwest, because those are your big industries, and you kind of default to that. So I had spent several years kind of moving in that direction, but essentially wanted to make the change into games because I'd been writing and doing some narrative design and stuff in the background, right? Just out of passion. Wanted to make the change into games. Not exactly the greatest climate, unfortunately, for making the transition as a junior or from a different industry. So I was like, you know what? There's got to be other people out here that are, struggling with that transition that I'm making, or juniors coming out of school, or really anybody that's just like, I want to be in games, and I'm not going to wait for this golden opportunity to come to me. I'm going to join with other creatives to build a studio and really just take charge and build something that we want. And
there's never really a perfect time to make a game. You just need to start making games
Exactly.
and start making connections. Have you found that to be true?
100%. And there's always other people out there that are probably hoping somebody would reach out to them and be like, yeah, we would love to work with you on this game, right? And they'll jump at that opportunity because they want to get involved. I would have, if somebody came to me and was like, hey, let's build a game, and it's going to be this, can you come write for it?
So Void Reavers, the game that you have right now that's in the pipeline, what was the process of picking why this game, why this genre, why now? Was it just where the passion was first? Did you find the fun? What was the process of getting to where you found the hook and then went with it?
Yeah, so the story of Void Reavers is an interesting one. I actually didn't start on the team. I was on YouTube shortly after we began the creation of Cowtown Games, and I was looking for a second project to kickstart next to our primary flagship game, which is Redwater. And I was on YouTube looking for a shooter or an FPS that I could do narrative design for and do a lot of writing for in a campaign sense or a single player sense, but found a gentleman named Casper from Poland who had done a handful of devlogs on his channel, on his YouTube channel, small YouTube channel, like 200 subscribers. And it was in my feed, and I reached out to him, and I'm like, and you could go and look at the comments. Like I said something like, I started a studio, I would like to work on a game with you. What do you think about some sort of partnership? Let's do this thing. And he reached out later, shortly after that, and we built a team around Void Reavers, and he had the vision initially, and then I just brought some of the narrative structure and helped flesh that vision out, and then together, as creatives do, everything kind of became this melting pot of like a bunch of ideas, and then we refined it into a core gameplay loop and a strong narrative that wove in between all of it, and that's where we're at now. That's what we're in the middle of developing. So that the proof is in the pudding that other people are out there. You just need to reach out to them and say, hey, let's do this thing together. More partnerships need to happen like that, in my opinion. So
I think a lot of first-time developers are looking for the perfect scenario where they have the perfect game idea, the perfect mechanic, the perfect art, the perfect platform, and the perfect time to do all of it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's a thing that exists. So talk about how, like, I guess, how do you know what things you can bring to something, or how to find how to find people to fill out the group of people that are trying to make a game like this?
Yeah, there's plenty of ways to do it. I mean, you could go straight to YouTube and you could start commenting on a bunch of devlogs and hope to partner with somebody that way. Cave Bear Games is actually a place that I had gone to when I first started Cowtown Games, and it's a collection of like thousands of junior and mid-level devs that are trying to get into the industry or learn more or network. And that had been, instrumental in finding other people, because you can go to these boards and post like, we're working on this game, we're looking for a gameplay programmer or a narrative designer or a concept artist, and then connect that way. So tons of Discord channels out there for connecting people like that, bringing people on to flesh out a team. But I think if you're going to do something like that, you also have to recognize that you cannot do everything. And I think a lot of maybe grassroots indie is a lot of like I need to do everything. I need to have my hands in all the pots of the game development process, which essentially leads to mass burnout and probably not a great holistic approach to making games in a space where you're probably doing it part-time or as a passion project. So you do have to realize like, oh, I'm really good at narrative design, or I'm really good at level design. Now I know my holes or my gaps in the team, and I go look for those people. So.
Are there any games or trends or anything in the industry recently that has surprised or inspired you? Or I guess, yeah, mostly surprised, or just anything that kind of caught you off guard. I guess mostly in a positive way, unless you want to go some other way on that.
Trend? You're saying trends in the industry?
Trends, games, just things that popped up that were unexpected.
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I mean, of course, the big one is like how many like just indie games are able to make it like to the front page of Steam and like just become these massive, well-selling, well-made titles with very limited big budget support, which I think is unexpected, right? But you know, as indie developers, like, come on, it's expected, right? Like
small groups can change the industry, and the proof is in the Steam sales charts.
Yes, so that's the obvious one. But I guess one that's more personal to me is like the resurgence of like survival horror and horror games and thrillers, because we're like seeing like the early 2000s was big on like thrillers and horror, and that kind of dipped down a little bit, and then now we're kind of like back into like, you know, more horror games, more thriller games, survival horror, you know, Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Redwater. So that resurgence was unexpected, but also very welcomed.
Awesome. So MDEV is a community effort, and with community, there's usually people behind the scenes that are trying to help make things happen. Is there any shout outs or gratitude that you wanted to give out as you currently have a platform to do so?
Really just a big thank you to everybody that's here, making it a possibility, the volunteers that helped set this all up, you guys doing these interviews, and just, yeah, everybody that was instrumental in making this happen. I can't really nail down like one person, but yeah.
Anybody on the Cowtown sign that needs a little extra love?
Yes, two people. My co-founder Ryan Evans. Big thank you to him. He's kind of like my balance. Sometimes I get a little ahead of myself, a little crazy. So he's kind of there to reel me back in and be like, okay, let's think about this more strategically. So we kind of balance each other out. So he helped me set up for this event, get everything ready. He also does our marketing. And then Casper from Poland. Is our guy. He's our lead developer on Void Reavers, so big thank you to him for coming out.
Shout out to Casper, man.
It's quite the distance to cover for the event, so we're the real deal.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. Appreciate your time. Be talking to you soon. Later, MDEV.